Sporting Journal Radio, presented by Onyx.
Well, I'm excited to do some fishing on that 73% of the lake that's open or wherever. Honestly, I want to go fish wherever you recorded that video the other day that had all those walleyes in it. Can I just go fish there? Is that allowed or?
Well, come opener, you could, yes. That video, that's the Walker Lake Fish Hatchery. It is on the Dead River, what I would call, it's upstream of Walker Lake. So as you know, when you were up here, you stayed on Dead Lake and for the opener last year. And so there's a river that runs from Dead Lake to Walker Lake and then eventually to Otter Tail Lake. And so that's video was taken on the Dead River at the Walker Lake Fish Hatchery. And I say this every year, but it's one of my favorite things to do in the world is to go to the Walleye Fish Hatchery and to see all those fish. It makes my heart go pitter patter, and it reminds me that there's still plenty of fish to be caught.
Oh man! And just how cool is it just to be able to see those big walleyes? I mean, when you showed that one, Dan, that could barely fit in the net there, or it was kind of coming out of the net a little bit. It's just neat to see, even if you're not fishing for them or catching them. It's just neat to see them.
Increased my heart rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you see it in person, it's just a whole different level, right? Like, you know, you look into the pen and you see those little white tips on the tails, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a lot of walleyes. And then those bigger ones start to emerge or show themselves, or you spot them, and you're like, oh my gosh, and they're all full of either milt or eggs, and so they're extra big, right? Like they're all pumped up. So a 26-inch walleye looks like an 11-pound walleye just because it's so girthy. So yeah, I'd highly recommend anybody out there who put it on your calendar for next year. These are, it may be up north. There might be some opportunities still further up north. But going to a walleye hatchery in the spring is once you've done it, I would argue you'll probably want to do it again.
Gosh, look at all those fish. Yeah. It's fun. If you're listening on the radio right now, you should really be watching the show on Facebook or YouTube. It is eye candy for anglers, particularly in Minnesota, who love big walleyes. I went and filmed a story did the same kind of deal where we went and filmed them stripping walleyes, milking them, and getting them. Oh man, look at that. And there was a couple of big fish, and I was like, can I just hold one up for the camera? 'Cause that's a bigger fish than the one I've caught. So,
did they let you?
Yeah, they did let me. They're like, all right, just be careful with it. Take one picture. And so I did. And I didn't say I caught the fish or anything. I explained what the picture is from, but it was just neat to be able to hold one of those fish like that. And we wanted to show one to the audience, so we picked one up and held it for the camera. So, and
I think it's a great way to for kids. A lot of schools will do field trips and stuff like that. But if you're able to make time to just take your kid, and there was a couple 2-3 years ago when Willie was probably 10, and it was a slow day, like there wasn't a big crowd there or whatever, and so Willie started by laying on the dock and just trying to touch the fish, and eventually they were like handing him, so when they're sorting the fish, they like handed him a huge carp, and they're like, here, let this one go, so they didn't let him handle it, but so he got a little hands on, and we went home and he was soaked head to toe and he had fish slime all over him. I'm not saying that's a normal occurrence, but in that particular setting and circumstance, to your point, they're going to be an intimate level of learning, I guess is what I would call it.
What a great way to help get kids interested in fishing and the outdoors too.
Yeah, it's so visual. Kids are visual. Kids are visual learners, right? They're looking at their phone, they're looking at their iPad, and if you can put real life stuff in front of their eyes, hopefully they get engaged.
Well, I sure felt like a kid holding that walleye that day. It's a pretty neat thing to see, and so that was something the public could come and check out.
Yep, it's open to the public. They do recommend, if you can, call ahead. They have a number listed on their website. Especially if you're gonna bring a group of kids or something like that. If you want a tour of the facility, call ahead. You can make a reservation. Again, this is future tense because it's kind of behind us now. But every morning people just kind of show up, and you do have to kind of stay out of their way because they're working, right? They're trying to get a job done. But yeah, the public is invited to come and watch. They have, interestingly enough, they have someone there 24 hours a day, not to accommodate the public, but to protect what it is that they have. Like they man a post, right? Like somebody's there making sure that nobody's messing with whatever it is they got going on. So, it's a morning activity. They get in the water 9 a.m. ish, and they're done sorting and stripping and fertilizing by like 10:30 or 11. So if you show up in the afternoon, you're just going to kind of see the after. I don't want to call it aftermath, but you'll see the eggs in the tumblers and in the percolators and the incubators. So there's always something. If you're a fish head, there's something interesting for you.
Oh yeah, and they're like little bars of gold with fins swimming around. There's a lot of money. A lot of money in that stocking program.
Yeah, so there you're looking at the DNR website. A lot of the information is, and in my experience, and maybe I have a biased perception here, but in my experience, the DNR that I've worked with have been very transparent about everything they do. You show up at one of those things, and they'll show you, they'll explain to you, they'll walk you through it. I had some coworkers there the other morning, and it was their first time, and the DNR staff took the time to explain, and I don't want to say they over-explained, but I was like, come on, let's go look at some fish. Let's not stand here in the building and look at the eggs. Let's go look at some fish. But in my experience, the DNR has been very accommodating to educate and to let the public be involved.
Yeah, that's great. Well, where can people see that video or learn more about Otter Tail Lakes Country?
Well, we've got that video up on our social medias, or they can go to ottertaillakescountry.com.
Erik Osberg, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hear more at sportingjournalradio.com or wherever you get podcasts.
Did you know there are more than 1,000 lakes in Otter Tail County?
Yep, and I'm going to fish as many as I can. I'm an outdoorsy otter. Nothing beats a full day of fishing for me. The lakes of Otter Tail County give me plenty of options to lower my boat and snag the perfect catch. Not an outdoorsy otter? No problem. Otter Tail County has something for everyone. You just need to find your inner otter.
To find your inner otter, go to ottertaillakescountry.com.